Right, welcome back, and this is Procurement and Supply Chain Live Dubai. And on to our final keynote of the day, and we're joined by Dirk Karl, who's Group Executive and Chief Procurement Officer and member of the board at Global Sourcing Company at MTN Group. His presentation is called Procurement Innovation at MTN. Dirk, hi, how are you?
All good. How are you?
Yes, really good, thank you. Now, I understand you're in a hotel room today. The signal looks good so far. So if we can get decent Wi-Fi signal in a hotel room, for me, that is progress. So I'm very excited to see that. Dirk, the virtual floor is yours. I'll be back with some questions at the end of your keynote.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you have all been enjoying Procurement Supply Chain Live today. I'm going to be talking about procurement innovation and share some insights into our journey towards data-driven procurement excellence. My name, of course, as introduced, is Dirk Karl, and I'm the Group Executive and Chief Procurement Officer of MTN Group. Our procurement organization is called GSSC. That's the Global Sourcing and Supply Chain Organization, and we are based as a headquarter function out of Dubai. And I invite you, please head over to our LinkedIn page and follow us, because we have lots of insights always to share on LinkedIn. We were quite early adopters in embracing data-driven procurement and hired also the first data scientists back in 2017, so quite far down the road, and have steadily expanded that team over the past 7 years in terms of the sheer size. Procurement innovation at MTN and GSSC is about developing internal skill sets that blend the data science with procurement expertise, combining technology approaches and the data to enhance strategic sourcing and the negotiation capabilities on a daily basis. Today, therefore, I want to give you some insights into how this combination of skills and technology drives high-impact sourcing use cases, and how we have delivered through this in-house approach, developed IT solutions for MTN Group. Just quickly, who is MTN? And we had our 30th year anniversary 2024. I would like to first introduce MTN. Those who may not be familiar with our organization, MTN is Africa's largest telecommunication provider. We're operating in 18 markets, and since our operation has started in 1994, we have grown exponentially. About 288 million mobile subscribers as of yesterday, Q1 2024. We have 150 million active mobile data users, and also 66 million mobile money users, so banking users on our fintech app across Africa's continent. Now, let's outline the structure of today's presentation, which I've broken down into three key areas. I'm going to begin with an overview of the blueprint behind MTN's Advanced Procurement Center of Excellence. In the second segment of the presentation, I'm going to introduce you to an award-winning in-house innovation that we have launched last year on the event of Supply Chain Live in London, which we call PX360, which is Procurement Excellence 360 Degrees, which is an industry-first initiative and system development. I will show you how in that development, machine learning and procurement works together to deliver strategic value. And lastly, I will share some key learnings from our own journey, which I hope you will be inspired from to either start accelerating your procurement excellence or to further develop it. Now, let's look at the focus areas for MTN's digital procurement. As I mentioned earlier, being an early adopter has allowed MTN to gain strategic advantage in procurement. Of course, our digital procurement strategy has undergone a number of iterations before we even reached our current state of maturity. Today, our focus spans across mainly 6 core areas. And all our initiatives that we start need to fit into one of those priority areas. Firstly, I look here at strategic negotiation and what we mean with this. We have established a negotiation advisory team in the Center of Excellence, which we call as a pillar Deal Dynamics, where a dedicated team of data scientists and the negotiation experts work directly with our category manager to give them what we call a negotiation playbook for each sourcing event. We have seen exponential results from this practice. It is one of the most exciting strategies that we have adopted so far in MTN procurement. When looking at developing in-house AI here on the right side, the capabilities, we spend a lot of time with innovating these capabilities in-house. Data scientists use open source libraries and various programming languages to write customs algorithms for strategic sourcing, and of course, other aspects of the core areas on the slide mentioned. Having an in-house data science team has been a significant game changer for MTN, and I will expand on this a bit more later. We also have a box which is called, an area which is called cost engineering component. We have run various exercises on cost modeling now. We are able to break down the cost components of each of the products and services that we purchase and model their impact in the TCO. We are now monitoring even those cost drivers with monitoring movements over time, such for commodities, commodity pricing, for freight pricing, for inflation impacts, and feeding those data points into our negotiation through the Deal Dynamics team. With growing impact of sustainability, as we all know, ESG is core of the business strategy, and therefore it's also core of the procurement strategy. We cover also risk management in the markets we are operating in and for supply chain, and we cover also supplier intelligence as our remaining core areas. When we look at the utilization of the Procurement Center of Excellence, we are very accurate in allocating resources effectively. So we measure that where is our activity actually going to in terms of efforts that we spend. We prioritize digital procurement budgets with precisions. We spend about here, I share this, 35% of our allocation on efficiency by automating business processes. This is different from just putting a digital dashboard up or putting tools in place and views, giving platforms to the sourcing community. We're using process mining and RPAs to automate transactional processes. Then we allocate 30% of the data science team on building in-house algorithms using our own data science. This is where we really transform into a more high-performing procurement environment. Our algorithms are developed in-house, customized, and our data is also secure. Then when I look at cloud-based large language models, which are, of course, for you and for me, a black box in terms of private data usage or corporate data usage. In the last slide part here, I touch upon strategic negotiation. And as I mentioned, we launched a negotiation advisory team that we call Deal Dynamics, where a dedicated team of data scientists and negotiation experts work directly with my category managers to give them a curated negotiation playbook. We are using their supplier behavior, we are using price forecasting and bundling opportunities to drive our strategic negotiation, which has delivered for the company significant value. We currently spend around here 25% of our time and resources on this activity. So the final 10% of our allocation goes to building tools with low-code or no-code platforms. I'm a big advocate here of using low-code platforms to ease processes. In my experience, most procurement cases require the digital connect. So what we mean with digital connects is data for collaboration between disciplines, collaboration capabilities between my sourcing users. This is very doable in-house given the maturity of local platforms and does not need an expensive third-party COTS package. In the next slide, now I get to the most interesting part of the presentation. I want to demonstrate our own implementation of using MTN's in-house team for data science to revolutionize the strategic sourcing use case. And what I've mentioned before, PX360 is like a Google search engine for our MTN procurement organization. We have 12 modules at the moment integrated into this search engine, and you can call them also apps, and you can call also PX360 as a meta platform or store, app store, which has entirely been developed in-house. It goes beyond a standard procurement suite that just sits on top of 10 ERPs, e-sourcing, contract management, spend analytics tools, and budget planning tools, because it brings more an extremely enriched and comprehensive view to sourcing events. It brings outlier alerts. It anticipates risks happening or has maybe KPI shortfall alerts, supplier research analytics, and a lot of other data sets more for the sourcing community. But what really sets this innovation a bit apart is the array of advanced algorithms, including neural networks at its core. We have taken data from over past 35,000 sourcing events to build an optimal recommendation engine. And then the next part is the sophisticated algorithms effectively identifying patterns related to both risks and sourcing opportunities across the MTN procurement landscape. So by having described it as a summary, I want to do a deep dive into a few of those apps and modules on PX360. Please bear in mind that this platform has won already a large number of industry awards from the likes of Hackett, Procurement Leaders, SIPS, and more. Firstly, PX360 is a recommendation engine. It identifies my sourcing projects that can be bundled together to leverage a negotiation. This is called recommendation engine, a Google-like platform, but only for sourcing events. What differentiates our innovation is the concept of optimal recommendation timing, because PX360 excels at determining the ideal time to send those alerts, to send those recommendations to the sourcing community. We have designed the platform to differentiate between stages of a sourcing event, such as budgets, planning stage, technical evaluation of the category, commercial negotiation, shipments, receipts, and even the payment stage. So at any point, the system can throw out a recommendation based on the stage and the timing of the sourcing event. Another optimal, a notable module or app is the supplier governance. There are very limited platforms that focus on procurement. At MTN, we have taken, therefore, a supplier governance, supplier governance and due diligence checks and processes and process compliance to the next level using an in-house algorithm that scans all the data points and identifies patterns for flagging potential non-compliance or outlier sourcing transactions. We are now monitoring live in that a recommendation engine, and with the data lake underneath, 20,000 suppliers in total. Another module is the supplier intelligence and the behavior part, the behavior modeling part, providing insights into, let's say, suppliers' sourcing behavior, how they behave in negotiations, and to analyze patterns in the spending data, which the negotiation team, the advisory team, uses to model negotiations rounds accordingly. Imagine what power you have that a procurement team, when they understand how suppliers will behave in the transaction upfront, in reversed auctions and tenders. These types of insights are incredibly useful for the sourcing person. Therefore, here is a snapshot of PX 360. How does it look like? You have now on a screenshot looking at the homepage at one of the key modules, which is the recommendation engine. The left side shows PX 360 as a platform and the various apps and modules it has currently staged. PX 360 is holistic, it's agile, and it's used by the power of the procurement teams with proactive real-time insights. Risk and opportunities are identified and optimal recommendation timing is being given. On this right side, you have the recommendation engine as a screenshot to leverage bundling opportunities, where multiple category managers are negotiating with the same vendor on similar requirements. The recommendations are then executed based on joint negotiation for additional volume leverage during the negotiation. This type of view you might have available if you are using a sourcing calendar electronically in your procurement function, but the ability to time bundling activities and then send those alerts directly to your sources increase the success rate significantly. Another snapshot is supplier bid behavior. When we are focusing here on the left side, as I mentioned earlier, the supplier bid behavior model allows our deal dynamics team to model their responses in the various negotiation scenarios. These are then built into an ongoing negotiation. What you're seeing here as an example of a supplier behavior during a reversed auction ERA, so we can see in a type of heat map how their behavior changes depending on the various elements that you trigger in an auction process. If you look at the right side then of the slide, you can see the bot, which we call Jessica, which is what we have an AI bot at GSSC. We have been experimenting for quite some time with OpenAI to provide these external market news through the bot, identifying suppliers, scouting. As of now, we do not integrate those data sets with ChatGPT, as I mentioned earlier, to the data privacy concerns that we have there. Now, to maybe quickly summarize PX 360's ability to deliver is at the moment we span 70 different sourcing use cases and therefore insights into one single cockpit. And that's the game changer for our sourcing team. Now, before we conclude, let's look at our Center of Excellence setup in 2024, which has undergone various iterations of maturity. One thing that you will notice now on the slide from this block chart is that procurement excellence is much more than digitization and tools. Each block here is representative in their respective size and proportions, which accurately sum up our priorities for 2024. While the top left block is related to digitization and machine learning development, the center block is where we utilize these data points strategically. So the translation into effectiveness. This is where negotiation analytics happens, along with the cost modeling, the clean sheets, the spend analysis, projects, and much more. If you set your priorities correctly, this is one area that should deliver most of our digitization benefits. We place huge focus on generating actionable insights, which is moving things like static dashboards into prompting the sourcing teams to take specific actions based on the data which they are presented with. The remaining blocks are more operational. This is operational monitoring. There's the sustainability part, the supplier development, And it's now fundamental to have one data lake, as I mentioned, that feeds it in and out for the entire setup. A kind of publish and subscribe, of course, of those 70 use cases into the data lake. On slide, to finish up, I want to leave you with 4 guiding principles inspired by the MTN approach and my recommendation how to build an award-winning high-performance procurement center of excellence. Maybe I start first with the part that is around the use case library. At any given time in MTN procurement nowadays, we have 20 live new use cases in the pipeline, all ranked according to the complexity of execution, and of course also ranked what's the big bang, what's the business impact on that use case. And then second, if you have a data science team, ask them to build maybe digital connects and supported by the data lake. Because if you can't seamless collaborate and put the dots together, you are missing that time advantage. The number of different tools, the systems that you need to use to put this stack together is quite an interruption in your organization. So those digital connects need to be created. You need to create these to ensure insights are structured and stored in your own data lake. The third part is change management. It's of course always key. However, just organizing training session and upskilling is not effective and has a low retention value. You should create user journeys where recommendations are broken down into small executable steps, which take you from the identification to execution and finally to an event to be realized by the sourcing team. And lastly, that's the fourth part, and most importantly, co-innovate with your peers. Telco operators, other industry peers, we are all on this platform right now to learn from each other across our industries. At MTN, we're incredibly open about procurement innovation. You're welcome even to join our open innovation sessions in Dubai, which we host in a lab at our offices from time to time. So that brings me to the end of my keynote. And if there are any participants who want to learn more about PX360 or about our innovation lab, MTN's digital procurement transformation, then please reach out to me and or to one of my team members at MTN. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dirk. A couple of quick questions from me, if I may. Just looking at how your procurement strategy has evolved, because it's one thing putting a strategy down on paper, as in-depth as it wants to be, how do you make sure it's adaptable and can evolve to market conditions?
I think that's what helps us with the use case library. I mean, when we take the strategy, of course, synchronized with the business strategy because it needs to fit in there, the digital procurement approaches, we measure, of course, very clearly the success of that tooling, that data science approach, that cost modeling, and the advice in deal dynamics to the sourcing teams in the sourcing transaction. And I give you that very, very concrete example that we were not even really so much aware of, how you measure agility. And the last time I said it came from a trade fair where vendors were all together and talking about the recent negotiations that MTN procurement has done. And those vendors came back and saying, we have back tested this. 2019, you had a very similar negotiation or a very similar category that is being negotiated. And it took us 3 months of, let's say, technical assessments and 3 months of negotiation. And since we have transformed the organization into Scrum certified agile procurement pods and using this kind of digital tooling and advice, the vendors came back, wow, the technical assessment took still 3 months. But the negotiation, the conclusion until the award was given, what was it taking us? It was taking us 6 business days. So that agility can really be translated not only in results as a business impact, but also to be agile in terms of concluding the sourcing transaction. And that's what stakeholders noticed.
And that kind of feedback must be absolutely invaluable. Dirk, really appreciated your insights into all of this today. Some really thorough breakdowns of how you've gone about that kind of implementation and that kind of innovation. So really appreciated your time and your company today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
A pleasure.
Bye for now.
Bye for now. Thank you very much indeed.